Hey everybody, Lee Clay here. I've made a lot of videos on YouTube about um, all kinds of fun stuff: rock wall climbing, karaoke, um, Bible studies, all kinds of different things. Um, but today I'm going to talk about something a little more serious. Um, so I have an accounting background. I was a property accountant for 13 and a half years, and I have a bachelor's degree in accounting. I've done accounting for various charities over the years, and I also run my own business, and I've run my own business for 21 years and always done the accounting. And I did pretty decent in finance as well in college, and they tried to get me to, the dean tried to get me to switch majors over from accounting to finance. I've always had a knack for accounting. So today we're going to talk about an interesting topic. It's about the Fed raising interest rates for the last several years and what it's done to the economy. So basically, in a nutshell, the theory is, and I'll do a little diagram and just show you. Um, Inflation is basically, in definition, it's when the cost of goods are increased um, due to the inputs, and it's gone to the point where it's actually hurting people. Um, so in the last 2 years, inflation has run rampant. It's been over 9%, and it's gone down a little bit, but it's gone down from a 9% increase. So we're still in the red. Over 3 years with Joe Biden, we're in the red about probably 20 to 25% for food and groceries. Um, Fast food has gone up 30, 40, 50%. Um, Price of gas has gone up 50%. It's going up like a buck a gallon. Everything is going up in the last 2 to 3 years. And a lot of that is stemmed from the Fed holding interest rates at a high rate and increasing them to try to curb inflation. So inflation is again when the cost of something goes up due to the inputs, due to the purchasing. Usually, this means there's a more demand than there is supply. In other words, people are buying too much, and that causes the price of products to go up. And so, what the Fed does is it basically says, okay, things are too much right now, too expensive. We're going to curb that by increasing interest rates so that people's appetite to purchase goes down. So here's an example. Okay, and this is rudimentary economics. So you've got product A, right? Okay, so you have 500 people that want product A. Problem is, there are only 100 units. Okay, so what you have there, simple supply and demand curve, you have the supply is going down. Yes. And as it goes down, demand goes up. Okay. Okay. So as supply goes down and demand goes up, the price of that product is going to continue to increase. Okay. So this is bad. This causes instant inflation. When there are more people that want the product than units available, the supply is diminishing and the demand is going up. When that happens, you have inflation. Okay? So that's just basic economics, right? Okay, so when this happens, that's when the Fed basically artificially inflates supply. There's only a fixed number of supply out there. So what they do is they increase the price, they increase the dollar amount of a product until demand for it goes down. And as demand begins to go down, the available supply begins to increase. Okay. All right. So then, because of the Fed increasing rates, increasing the cost of a product, now you only have 100 people that want to buy a product and you have 100 units. Okay. That's perfect supply and demand. Now you have right number of people to purchase a number of products. All right. And so in that case, increasing interest rates decreases people's appetite for a product until the price goes down. Okay. That's what happens when you have people buying. That's what happens when you have people buying more than the available supply. Okay. So that's why the Fed has been theoretically raising rates year after year, hurting us so badly, is because they believe that people have been greedily buying up everything and there's more demand than there is supply. However, that is not what has been happening. Let me ask you a question. When you go to the grocery store today, are you buying more groceries than you bought 4 years ago? Most people would say no. But has the cost of groceries gone up? Yes. Hell to the yes. I take care of my two elderly parents who live with me, and our grocery bill 4 years ago for a week's groceries was $200. Now that same week's worth of groceries is $400. And it's not because I'm greedily buying up all the cheese. A human being can't consume twice the amount of food that they consumed 4 years ago, unless they weigh like 500 pounds. So people aren't buying more goods. Grocery stores are not running empty shelves because people are buying up all the toilet paper. No, sir. That's not what's happening. What's happening is they artificially increased the cost of everything by doing wage hikes and doing minimum wage increases. Gavin Newsom, the genius of California, just raised the minimum wage of California to $20 an hour. Okay, so what's happening is the cost of everything has skyrocketed, and that has caused the inflation. It's not that people are buying twice as much stuff. It's that the cost of everything costs twice as much of what it cost before. Okay, so the Fed thinking, oh, we're going to help you by increasing, we're going to help you curb the inflation by increasing the cost or the cost of interest, the credit card rates. We're going to make credit card rates so darn high so that you can't afford to greedily keep buying these things up. The problem is people are still buying the same amount of groceries they were buying 4 years ago. And now we're not buying any more than we were buying before. Now it costs us twice as much. And because the cost of credit card interest that was 10 to 14% 4 years ago is now 15 to 30%, now we're putting stuff back. Not only are we not buying more, but now we're having to put things back. And because of inflation, people are having to decide, do I pay the mortgage this month? Do I pay the electric bill this month? Do I pay the water bill this month? Do I get the groceries? Do I pay the credit cards? What do I leave out? Because people are hurting and people cannot afford to pay for this current inflation crisis. So, what happens when people are buying products where the minimum wage has been artificially hiked up due to minimum wage hikes, and now everything costs twice as much? What happens is you've got massive inflation, and then when the Fed stacks on top of that increased interest rates, so the cost of people being able to finance their grocery bill and their utility bills has also increased. Now you've got a recession. Now you've got people who not only can't afford things because the cost of everything is dramatically increased 20, 30, 40%, and in some cases doubled. Like with grocery bills is literally double in some cases. But now if you put it on your credit card, the interest rate is not 15%, it's 30%. That's a problem. So now people can't afford their bills anymore. And credit card companies and lenders have dried up because of the increased default rates on credit cards. Credit card companies have slowed down on their balance transfer offers. And I run a small business and I thrive on small business loans and balance transfers. And three of my largest business lenders have stopped lending money. American Express discontinued their entire business lending program and sourced it out to third party. American Express, one of the largest finance companies in the world, has stopped doing small business loans. If you go on their website right now, they've stopped doing small business loans and they've sourced it out to a third party. Amazon has stopped lending money. Amazon has sourced their lending program out to a third party. There are several others, but the problem is as the cost of that interest goes up 16, 17, 18%, those small business loans that we could get a few years ago for 10%, now they're 15, 16, 17%. And when they get higher, the chance that they get higher closer to a business's profit margin, now you're lending people money at 18% and their profit margin is 20%. So you're just basically you're doing a wash. People are literally borrowing money so that they can turn around and make a profit that's equal to the interest they're borrowing at. They're not making anything. Their interest will literally eat up all of their profits. And as they do that, the chances that that business will default and not pay its loans increase exponentially. So that is why the lenders are drying up. That's why the credit card companies have stopped doing balance transfer offers. Now, you might have a few credit card companies who are still doing small balance transfer offers, but they've decreased dramatically. I have several business credit cards and I've checked with them, and only one out of like 7 different cards offer balance transfer offers right now. Just one. And it's again because as the cost of the lender's ability to lend the money goes up 16, 17, 18% and gets closer and closer to that profit margin for that business, the chances that business will default go up tremendously. And the risk that's associated with that business lending money to a small business goes up tremendously, and the chance that that business will default and not be able to pay it back go up tremendously. So in this case, the Fed is wrong, and by keeping interest rates artificially hiked up this high and waiting 3.5 years before they cut rates, it's too little too late, because that's not going to help things right now to cut rates 0.25% when we've already got 20%, 30% overall inflation for the economy. People are already hurting. The Fed's acting as if people have extra income and they're overbuying. No, it's people making minimum wage, which is mostly kids, mostly 15, 16-year-olds making that minimum wage, just had their minimum wage double from $8 to $16 an hour. And they're not the ones buying most things out here. The ones buying most things are the adults, the parents. And when the kids get those minimum wage hikes and they're making double now, the parents are still making the same amount of money, but now everything costs more. Now rent's going up 20, 30%. Now the mortgage property taxes have gone up. The mortgage won't go up, it's fixed if it's a fixed rate interest rate loan, but your property tax go up, your insurance goes up, um, and all the other things, groceries go up. All the things that mom and dad could afford before, they can't afford now. So, example, mom and dad make $20 an hour in California. Okay, when minimum wage is $14 an hour, they had $6 premium bucks per hour over the minimum wage of $14 an hour. Okay, they had something. They had some cash equity, some paycheck equity. They had $6 over minimum wage. Now minimum wage is $20. So now their kids who spend that money on insurance, car insurance, and Starbucks are making $20 an hour. And now mom and dad who are making $20 an hour because they've been working for 20 years in the workforce or more, they're making minimum wage. And the kid's coming home with a Starbucks coffee in his hand, paying insurance, car insurance bill with his money, or getting new speakers for his car, and mom and dad are now making minimum wage and they can't pay rent this month, and they can't pay for the roof over the heads that they're providing for their kids, because now they've redistributed mom and dad's wealth of $20 an hour. They've just redistributed $6 in value of that to the kid, and now the kid's making $20 an hour. So if you like this video, give it a like. You can subscribe to my channel. I'm going to put all my finance stuff on a finance tab, and you can look at just finance related things like this. Check out my other YouTube video that I'm about to post. It's going to be called Why Minimum Wage is Making Us Poorer. But yeah, the Fed increasing rates on the assumption that people have extra disposable income because all these wage hikes and all these free government checks we've been getting is not the case. People are not buying more. Businesses are going out of business. Grocery stores are closing. Restaurants are closing. Fast foods are closing. The day that Gavin Newsom raised minimum wage to $20 an hour in California, Pizza Hut fired its entire driver workforce just for California, fired 4,000 delivery drivers the same day Gavin Newsom raised minimum wage to $20 an hour. So 4,000 people lost their jobs in California and basically went homeless, or looked for another job and pray to God they found one and didn't go homeless. And they sourced it out to Grubhub or DoorDash. Why is that? It's because Pizza Hut cannot afford to pay people $20 an hour to deliver a couple of pizzas at $10 a pie and pay somebody $20 an hour to do it. They're spending all their wages on delivery wages, and then their cook and their hostesses are making $20 an hour. So now Pizza Hut fired all its drivers and they can't deliver pizza anymore, and they're doing a third party. That's what's going on. That's what is happening. And as the government continues to artificially inflate minimum wages and increase costs, where I heard on another report, McDonald's is considering leaving California because people aren't going to buy $10 Happy Meals and $15 and $20 Big Mac combos. As the price of things continue to go up because of inflated minimum wage, businesses will suffer and struggle. So that's not a good thing. And the Fed is definitely wrong here because we do not have extra disposable income. All of the extra income that people are getting, it's mostly children that are getting the extra income, and a few people that are tenured and make a minimum wage are getting extra income by these wage hikes. But the majority of them is just kids between 15 and 18. They're getting these wage hikes. Most of the adults are already making decent money over minimum wage, and the extra purchasing revenue that's come in has been all inflation money, and it's not more product. People are not emptying shelves. The Fed was wrong. They should not have been raising interest rates all these years. They should have been lowering rates to make things affordable so that people can continue to afford them. Instead, they've raised rates, and now things are really skyrocketed. Another example is mortgages. Gen Zers are talking about just giving up entirely on buying a mortgage or buying a house because the cost of a mortgage. A quick example, and then I'll get off here. Um, One of my family members bought a house 6 years ago, okay, here in Virginia. And the house cost $200,000. And it was when interest rates were great. His interest rate was like 3.5%. So I was talking to him tonight. His mortgage was like $1,300. Okay. So now that same property is worth about $350,000. That property has almost doubled in 6 years. Okay. So you've got a huge uh, seller's market right now when rates have skyrocketed on houses, or when property values have skyrocketed on houses. Usually when that happens and house prices take off, because people only have a fixed amount of mortgage that they can afford, a fixed payment, interest rates will go down. Or if interest rates go up, the prices of houses go down. So, example, that house is worth $350,000 now. Okay, the way rates have gone up, where a mortgage that was 3.5% before is now 7%, that house shouldn't have gone up to 350,000. The house should be going back down because interest rates are higher. So if he wants to get that same house, if somebody else wanted to get that same house he got now, that he paid $200,000 for 6 years ago, if they got it at 350,000 at the same rate of 6 years ago, that mortgage, instead of being $1,300 a month, would probably be, like without doing the math, would probably be close to $2,000 a month. Okay, but if interest rates go up and the mortgage price goes up, now you've got a perfect storm. Things are not normalizing. So now you've got 7% interest rates and a $350,000 house that was worth $200,000 6 years ago, and the rate was half 2 years ago. Now that mortgage is double. The mortgage is double. It's going to be $2,700, $2,800 a month. So that's a serious problem. That's what the Fed has contributed to our economy and inflation. And instead of offsetting the price of things going up, not because people are overbuying and they need to slow down buying, but because of inflation costs and people are just buying staples and can't afford it, the Fed has contributed to that by causing the cost of interest to go up along with the cost of the products. So now not only can we not afford what we need to buy, but we cannot afford to finance it, and now the interest is double. And if you're cash wealthy right now and you've got 2 million, 3 million, 4 million sitting in the bank, cash is king. You're gold right now. You can do anything you want. You can buy anything you want because you're not leveraged. You're not subject to this interest. You can take your money out of a money market account, pop it into CD, and make 6%. Okay. But if you if you are leveraged or you're poor, you are really hurting right now. So that's it. I just wanted to say my take on this. The Fed is not supposed to be raising rates at a time when inflation is so high, not due to people overbuying, but due to the cost of everything going up. We need help right now. The Fed needs to be dropping rates so people can afford to buy the things they're continuing to buy. There's not additional disposable income. All it's being chewed up by inflation. And now the Fed's going to cut rates of what, 1/4%? And everybody's going to say, yay, everything's okay. No, 27% credit card rates. My credit card rates range right now from 15 to 27%. 4 years ago, they were 9 to 14%. Now they've doubled. My loans 4 years ago were 9% to 13%. Now I can't get any more business loans because most of the cash cow lenders have dried up because the cost of interest is too high. And the ones that are lending between 16 and 20% interest, without collateral and without basically giving them some kind of a collateral or guarantee or something for payback. So really, really bad economy. And the Fed, you guys have really hurt us bad. People are not going out and buying double the groceries. People are just trying to buy what they need. And people are not buying double, increasing interest on already inflated prices where people are just trying to get by is just pouring salt on the wound. All right. Like and subscribe. Check out my other finance videos to come soon. This is Lee Clay. Have a blessed day. Treat others right. Give God all glory.